Welcome back. My name is Ungar-Sargon, and this is a follow-up video to my series on how to video conference better. If you haven't seen the first 3 videos, I highly recommend that you check those out first. But in this video, I wanted to take a little bit of time to cover some of the options that didn't quite make the cut, and also explore a few more relevant topics for your edification. In level 1, I started with the working assumption that all you have access to is the built-in mic and camera in your laptop or desktop, because I thought that this would apply to the largest number of you out there who are video conferencing. But I know that lots of you also have those little earbuds that came with your iPhones lying around, and the first comparison I want to do here is between the built-in mic in the laptop, the old iPhone earbuds, and the AirPods Pro. Let's take a look.
To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against the sea of troubles, and by opposing, end them. To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against the sea of troubles, and by opposing, end them. To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against the sea of troubles, and by opposing, end them.
So the sound improvement with the earbuds is significant, but you have to balance that with a slightly odd look that you get when you wear them on camera, which may push you in the direction of the lower profile AirPods, but as we just heard, they're hot garbage and actually sound far worse than even the built-in mic in the laptop, thanks to their Bluetooth compression. In level 2, we talked about investing a small amount of money in your gear, and I recommended that you go with an inexpensive lavalier microphone. What I'd like to explore here is 2 other inexpensive mic options to see how they compare. The first is one of my very favorite on-camera mics, the Rode Video Micro, and the second is one of those USB boom arm style options from Logitech.
To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against the sea of troubles, and by opposing, end them. To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against the sea of troubles, and by opposing, end them.
Ha! That wasn't even close. The Rode sounded great, and the Logitech headset sounded terrible. Next, I want to see how the inexpensive Deity lavalier mic that we recommended in level 2 stacks up against some of the more professional-grade lavalier microphones.
To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against the sea of troubles, and by opposing, end them. To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against the sea of troubles, and by opposing, end them. To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against the sea of troubles, and by opposing, end them.
So while it's clear to me that the more expensive mics sound better, the VLAV holds up impressively well, and it's actually hotter or more sensitive than the higher-end models, which is an advantage of sorts when going straight into your computer, as you can reduce your input level and have a cleaner signal. You'll notice that in level 2, I used the rear-facing camera on my iPhone. Let's see how it compares with a front-facing camera, and while we're at it, let's throw in the iPad's built-in camera as well. I think it's pretty clear that the iPhone's rear camera is the way to go here, as neither the front-facing camera nor the iPad's camera are as good. What's more, due to the placement of the iPad's camera when the iPad is in the one and only orientation that anyone should be shooting any kind of video in, the camera's on the side of the screen, which makes you look super distracted when you aren't looking directly at the camera. In level 3, we talked about 3-point lighting, and I discussed the importance of having a nice large key light. What I want to show you here is the difference that a larger light source can have on the final result.
Okay, so just to review our 3-point lighting, what you're looking at right now is the backlight hitting the back of my head and shoulders, and in a moment you're going to see the key light come on and illuminate my face. There we go. It's a hard key light, which means that relative to my face, it is small, and it's creating hard shadows on my face, well-defined shadows, and there we have our fill. If we punch in a little bit, you can see what I'm talking about with these hard shadows on the face from the small key light. And now I'm going to put a modifier on. It reduces a bit of the output, but it softens up those shadows really nicely. And you can see that's the hard light. And when I put the modifier on, we reduce the output a little and we soften up those shadows. And now I'm going to put an even larger modifier on. And boom, you've really softened up those shadows beautifully. And we're back to the hard light now. And the smaller modifier and the larger modifier.
In level 3, I also recommended that you go with a lens that has a field of view that's in the ballpark of 50 millimeters. Let's take a look at what happens when we use wider and narrower fields of view while maintaining the same position in the frame.
Okay, so what you're looking at right now is a profile shot of my video conferencing setup. You can see that the camera is 64 inches away from my eye. That's because we have a lens with a 52.5 millimeter field of view on there. And that's what it looks like through that lens. This is what I recommended in terms of lens choice in level 3. And now I've changed the lens to a 24 millimeter field of view. And to maintain that head and shoulders composition, you can see that the camera has to get much, much closer in order to maintain that composition. And you can see that there's distortion going on here, in particular on the face. So that's what a 24 millimeter field of view looks like. Now I've changed the lens to an 84 millimeter field of view, and you can see I've had to move the camera much farther away, which in certain circumstances would just be impossible given domestic spaces. And you can see the effect that that has on my face. It sort of narrows the structure of my face. So the change that you can see in the proportions of my face is not really about the lens that you choose as much as it is the distance of the lens to my face.
So that's it for this video, folks. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. If you'd like to support what I do here, you can rent or buy my films or even kick in some cash for the film that I'm currently working on. Links to all that jazz will be in the description box below. Thank you so much for your attention. Until next time.